Alrighty, folks, so I have been told by all the commenters that after I positively reviewed Wicked, they wanted some more of my showbiz insights. And so we have decided to go through my favorite Broadway musicals of all time. This is my list of favorite film musicals of all time, which is different. We might do that later. But here is my list of favorite Broadway musicals of all time. This video is sponsored by our friends at ExpressVPN. We'll start at the top. A most brilliant musical of all time is Sweeney Todd by Stephen Sondheim, book by Hugh Wheeler. In a musical, the script is called the book or the libretto. Now, I don't like Stephen Sondheim's politics. That doesn't matter here. The musical is absolutely brilliant. The lyrics are quite witty. Some of the music is overwhelmingly gorgeous, just beautiful. This did not play all that long on Broadway, comparatively speaking, because it's unbelievably dark. It's about human cannibalism. It's a horror story. It's done in a creative way where you have the ballad of Sweeney Todd that's sung by an entire choir, and you have these oddball characters. One of the problems I have with Stephen Sondheim is that his early work
was a little too new wave for my taste.
In my opinion, is better than his later work. It seems to me that as he got older, he started despising popularity and hating his audience. It got to the point where he felt like he had to be sophisticated, and because he wanted to be sophisticated, he started making things like Assassins, which had no actual appeal to audiences. His first musical, which was A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, was a big hit. A Little Night Music, which was a huge hit and has great music. He made a really creative musical called Pacific Overtures that's really interesting about the opening of Japan by America. Follies has some interesting stuff. Company has some really interesting stuff in it. And then he starts to get kind of more and more obscure as his career goes on. And I think that probably the turning point there was Into the Woods. Once he gets Into the Woods, which is sort of, in some ways, the height of his popularity, he starts to get more and more obscure.
The cow is white as milk, the cape is red as milk, the hair is yellow as milk, the slipper is pure as milk.
But that's not the case with Sweeney. Sweeney is brilliant all the way along. The best number in the musical starts with a number called Ladies and Their Sensitivities, and then it turns into a quartet. The quartet is sung between the judge, the beadle, who's his henchman, and then Anthony and Joanna, who are the two lovers who are trying to escape from the judge. And here's some of that.
Kiss me, my name is Kiss me. I know a place where we can go tonight. Kiss me, we have a place where we can go tonight. I love you, even as I saw you. Even if it does not matter that I still don't know your name.
One of the things that makes this great, not just obviously the lyrics and the music, Jonathan Tunick is the orchestrator. Jonathan Tunick is amazing, like tremendous orchestrator, and you can hear it all in that particular number. It's brilliant, and it is gripping, terrific musical. Alrighty, another musical in which Sondheim was obviously involved, Westside Story, considered by many people to be the best Broadway musical of all time. The original version, which is basically a confluence of pretty much everybody who was best at their jobs in musical theater. So you had Leonard Bernstein doing the music, you had Stephen Sondheim, who was extraordinarily young when he did this, doing the lyrics. All the good lyrics are Stephen Sondheim here. The bad lyrics are Bernstein coming in and kind of trumping him at a certain point. There are certain lyrics that Bernstein famously rewrote and that are not good. All the good stuff is Sondheim.
Mere indications of Puerto Ricanness are enough.
The book was by Arthur Lawrence, terrific playwright. Jerome Robbins was the choreographer on this. So you have like the best in all of their respective fields working on this. The music is absolutely brilliant. Like pretty much every number is a hit. The movie version, by the way, is great. Like very few of these Broadway musicals transferred over well to film. West Side Story transferred over beautifully to film. I prefer the original version to the Steven Spielberg remake.
Weird.
The best number concludes in the movie, basically the first act. There's a quintet that happens. The two leaders of the various gangs, as well as Tony and Maria, who are the lovers, and Anita, who is the lover of one of the leaders of the gangs. It's amazing stuff. I mean, it's a brilliant number.
Puerto Ricans grumble, fair fight, but if they start a rumble, we'll rumble and right. We're gonna hand them a surprise tonight. We're gonna cut them down to size tonight. They say, okay, no ruffus, no tricks, but just in case they jump us, we're ready to mix.
Yeah, I know. This number builds so beautifully. The actual best part of this number is that they bring in tonight, right?
Tonight.
Tony starts singing that, and so does Maria. And then when you get to the end and you've got all the various characters singing together, it's amazing. It's a terrific number. So West Side Story, obviously a classic of musical theater. Okay, now to one of my personal favorites. And this is 1776 The film version, again, is quite good. It totally works.
Hell no!
Actually, there was a number in the musical Broadway version that was cut from the film version, but is still available, and they, I believe, cut it back in, called Cool Conservative Men, and it was cut, presumably, allegedly, at the behest of the Nixon administration, who was afraid it made conservatives look bad. That's not what the musical number is about. But 1776 is about the writing of the Declaration of Independence. You will recognize, if you're a TV fan, from Boy Meets World, William Daniels, who plays John Adams, and who also plays Mr. Feeney, which is why the high school in Boy Meets World is called John Adams High. It is a great musical, and it takes on a bunch of the issues that surrounded the writing of the Declaration of Independence, including the debate over slavery and whether it should be abolished in the Declaration and at the beginning of the country.
Put them in the ships.
There's an amazing number called Molasses to Rum to Slaves that goes through that entire debate. There is a number that is really tremendous, sort of an anti-war number called Hey Mama, Look Sharp. The number that I always preferred when I was growing up is John Adams' big number, Is Anybody There?
They want me to quit.
This takes me back to my childhood.
They say, John, give up the fight. Still to England I say, good night, forever, good night. For I have crossed the Rubicon. Let the bridge be burnt behind me. Come what may, come what may.
There are lines in this song that are ripped from John Adams' letters. Great number, terrific musical, really good on stage. Done as one act, there's no intermission in this, and it's actually written as a musical play. My dad actually has, I believe, a copy of the original score, like handwritten by Sherman Edwards, who did the music. South Pacific is next on our list. So you'll see a lot of Rodgers and Hammerstein on my list. Rodgers and Hammerstein are the best, bar none, not close. Really remade musical theater in America. They're responsible for the first sort of modern musical Oklahoma. And South Pacific is widely considered, along with another one of the musicals that will appear on the list momentarily, some of the best musical theater ever written. South Pacific was based on Tales of the South Pacific by James Michener, an author who I really generally enjoy a lot. He wrote a great book called The Source about the history of Israel. There's a bunch of things about this musical that are wonderful, including the fact that it has some of the best music in any production of musical theater ever. But also, Rodgers and Hammerstein do a great job of actually channeling reality into the musical genre, which is very difficult because obviously when people break into song, you're like, what the hell is this? And the idea that you have a bunch of big burly men who are kind of breaking into song on the beaches of an island in South Pacific is super weird. But to me, the best number in the musical of South Pacific is not any of the big romance numbers, which of course are great, and people know them, right? Some Enchanted Evening, for example. But the best number in the show is There's Nothing Like a Dame, which is a really brash number, basically about a bunch of horny guys away from World War II, and they got no girls. And so,
Cut that out! This ain't that kind of a place!
Here's that number. This is from the movie version. The original movie version is actually pretty good. It's a little bit too slow. And the director, for some reason, got real happy with the color lenses and does some of the numbers with the camera covered in color lenses, which makes no sense at all.
Let's see it purple. Come on.
But there's some real high points. There's Nothing Like a Dame. Great number.
We get packages from home, we get movies, we get shows, we get speeches from our skipper, and advice from Tokyo Rose. We get letters doused with perfume, we get dizzy from the smell. What don't we get? You know damn well.
So some of the lyrics in that particular song are really, really funny. Very difficult to write a good comedy Broadway song. Very often they sort of devolve into what are called list songs, where you list a bunch of sort of funny things in a row.
Cow is white as milk, the cape is red as milk, the hair is yellow as milk, the slipper is pure as milk.
What are you doing here?
This is a truly funny, like, laugh out loud number. There's Nothing Like a Dame, and so it's totally worth checking out. Folks, we'll get to more of my favorite Broadway musicals. Yes, I'm straight, guys, I know. But first, here's something fascinating. Until the 1990s, the United States government classified encryption as munitions. They literally categorized it alongside weapons. And you know what? They weren't totally wrong. Encryption is indeed powerful. It's your shield against those who want to exploit your personal information online. That's why we use ExpressVPN. It's an elegant solution that encrypts your internet connection and routes it through secure servers, keeping your online activity private, which is the way it should be. I've been using ExpressVPN for years now. Honestly, I wouldn't go online without it. Think about it. Without encryption, your digital life is an open book. Your internet service provider can legally sell your browsing history. Data brokers track your every move across websites. Government agencies can peek into your online world. But here is the most beautiful part. ExpressVPN makes privacy simple. One tap, and when the app turns green, you're protected. It works across all your devices, phones, laptops, tablets. A single subscription covers up to 8 devices. Encryption as a weapon is one you have a legal right to use for your own protection. It's up to you to exercise that right. If you decide to take action today, you can find out how you can get 4 months free by scanning the QR code on screen, clicking the link in the description box below, or by heading on over to expressvpn.com/BenYT. Okay, the most moving musical Rodgers and Hammerstein ever wrote is a musical called Carousel, based on a play by Molnar called Lillian.
William, please don't go.
Let me go.
William.
And it transposed that setting from Budapest to Maine. This musical has the single best musical theater number of all time. Soliloquy. The soliloquy is an actual transformational number in which this entire thought line goes all the way through for Billy Bigelow. So his wife gets pregnant, and he realizes he's a loser. He's this brash guy who always thought of himself as a winner, and he's great with the girls, and then he realizes he makes no money, and he's a total loser. And so he's really happy his wife is pregnant, and he thinks about, my boy Bill, he'll be big and as strong as a tree. Will Bill, right? He does this whole thing about how it's gonna be great. He's gonna have his boy's gonna come with him. His boy could be president, or it could be a carnival barker, doesn't matter. And then he realized it could be a girl.
What if he is a girl? Bill. Oh.
And when he realizes that it might be a girl, everything changes. Because he realizes you can have fun with the son, but you've got to be a father to a girl. The musical's just insanely good. The music is unbelievable. The soliloquy, the John Raitt version is really the best version by far.
She's gonna be sheltered and fed and dressed in the best that money can buy. I never knew how to get money, but I'll try, by God, I'll try. I'll go out and make it, or steal it, or take it, or
John Raitt had an amazing voice, and this number is the best. And the way it was described by Rodgers and Hammerstein is they said, you want Billy Bigelow to essentially be a bastard throughout the play. He's bad. I mean, he actually hits his wife and stuff.
Don't pity me, or I'll give you a slap in the jaw.
He's a bastard until he opens his mouth to sing, and that's what you get from this number. It's an amazing number. It's a truly transformative number and sort of projects Broadway forward from the era of stop the show, we're gonna do something that doesn't advance the plot, but it's just sort of a song, into here's a song that is totally integrated with the plot, and actually the character changes over the course of the song. Still the best number in Broadway history, the soliloquy from Carousel.
It's possible for someone to beat you and beat you and beat you and not hurt you at all.
Next up on our list is Gypsy, a bizarre musical in the sense that it is about a topic that, you're not really gonna love. The book was by, again, Arthur Lorenz, same guy who wrote Westside Story. Super clever. It's about Gypsy Rose Lee, who is the world's most famous stripper, essentially.
Have you the faintest idea about the private life of an exotic dancer?
It's about her childhood, being brought up by Mama Rose, who's the ultimate stage mother.
Just remember you're a lady, and you are going to be a star.
And her relationship with her mom and her sister, little June.
Hello, everybody. My name is June. What's yours?
Every song is a hit. Every song is brilliant. Stephen Sondheim did the lyrics on this. This has some of my favorite lyrics of all time. There's a song called Wherever We Go.
Wherever we go.
And some of the lyrics are really brilliant. Whatever the boat I row, you row.
A duo.
Whatever the row I hoe, you hoe.
A trio.
And any I owe you, I owes you owe, you hoe. No, you owe.
No, we owe.
Together, right? Like it's very, very clever. Every song is kind of is very singable and hummable. And one of the best numbers in Broadway history is Rose's Turn.
You'll be swell. You'll be great. Gonna have the whole world on.
Amazing number. Very much like Soliloquy in the sense that it's actually Mama Rose, after the entire show, who's always had aspirations to be the star of the show, decides that, now Mama's gonna show her stuff.
What I've been holding down inside of me.
And it's this pathetic, but brassy and amazing number, Rose's Turn.
Starting here, start now, honey, everything's coming up right.
And there are a bunch of different actresses who have done it. My favorite, personally, is Angela Lansbury, did it in a British version. Angela Lansbury, one of the great actresses of all time, truly underrated in everything, like truly underrated. In everything from, film work like
You're the imposter. We all know it.
she played the original Mrs. Lovett in Sweeney Todd.
What, Mr. Todd? What, Mr. Todd? What?
She's great in this. Bette Midler did a passable version of this that was on TV. It's not terrible. Here's Bette Midler doing her version.
Everything's coming up rosy this time for me. For me. For me. For me. For me. For me.
And so, again, I prefer the Lansbury version where you really hear how pathetic she is. It's an amazing number and a great musical. Alrighty, Fiddler on the Roof. So Fiddler on the Roof, of course, is a classic.
If I were a rich man.
As an Orthodox Jew, I have some problems with Fiddler ideologically because the kind of basis of Fiddler on the Roof is that Judaism is about traditions that you don't understand, but you just keep doing them.
Traditions for everything. How to sleep, how to eat, how to work, how to wear clothes.
Which I think is sort of the reverse of what Orthodox Jews tend to think about their religion, which is we spend an awful lot of time trying to figure out why we do what we do. The original musical is based on a series of short stories by Shalom Aleichem called Tevye the Dairyman. But as a piece of musical theater, Fiddler works beautifully. The actual music of the show, amazing.
Matchmaker, matchmaker, make me a match.
And the lyrics, also amazing.
Find me a find, catch me a catch.
The number everybody knows, of course, that is not my favorite number from the show. I think it's overplayed at this point. The best number from the show is one that almost never gets played. A number that the second daughter does when her to-be husband has been exiled for being a revolutionary, and she's going to follow him basically into exile. And she sings this song to Tevye called Far From the Home I Love, which is a great number.
How can I hope to make you understand why I do what I do? Why I must travel to a distant land, far from the home I love.
The actual rest of the song is beautiful. It's a great song. Sunrise Sunset is from this musical. Terrific musical.
Great job.
Okay, my final pick for my favorite musicals, My Fair Lady, 1956.
The spine in Spain stays spinely in the spine.
This is based on Pygmalion by George Bernard Shaw. It's Lerner and Lowe. Lerner and Lowe are great.
Lerner and Rowe is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
Now handling CPAP cases.
The movie is fantastic. In fact, the movie has some irony to it because originally the casting on Broadway was Julie Andrews as Eliza Doolittle and Rex Harrison as Henry Higgins. When they cast it for film, they decided that what they were going to do instead, and they did this with a lot of film musicals at the time, is they were going to cast somebody who's already a big star and have a voiceover for the person. They decided instead they were going to cast Audrey Hepburn, who's terrific in the film.
You don't believe that, Captain?
And Audrey Hepburn ends up being sung for by Marnie Nixon.
Without you.
The same year that this happens, so too does Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins, they decide they are going to cast Julie Andrews. Julie Andrews ends up winning Best Actress. Audrey Hepburn is really, I think, screwed. She doesn't get even a nomination for My Fair Lady. In any case, so many great numbers from this. I think the best number is probably I Could Have Danced All Night. Beautiful song.
I only know when he began to dance with me, I could have danced all night.
Lerner and Lowe also did a great musical called Brigadoon that is totally a wonderful, wonderful musical. So those are all my favorite stage musicals. There's a list of my favorite stage, again, these are not my favorite movie musicals. We could do an entire different video on movie musicals, and perhaps we will sometime in the future. We will also do a list soon of the most overrated musicals of all time. Get ready for that one.